Siman Memchet. So if you haven't been a part of it, it's time to actually step up and Bezrat Hashem, be a part of daily learning of halakha. Now we are continuing on Shulchan Aruch Orach Chaim, the halachot of Birkot HaShachar. We are on the last Seif of Siman Mem Zayin, in which Maran writes, Nashim mevarchot Birkat HaTorah, that women also have to say Birkat HaTorah. This is Maran Bet Yosef brings this in the Shem of Agur, and the language that Maran has is very interesting. The language is not that they're chayavot to say Birkat HaTorah. Nashim mevarchot Birkat HaTorah. We mentioned before that Sefer Chinuch, the Ramban, perhaps other Rishonim, they mentioned that Birkat HaTorah, just like Birkat HaMazon is the Oraita that says V'achalta v'savata u'berachta, Birkat HaTorah also is the Oraita, and that's what we seem to paskin. If you forgot if you have said Birkat HaTorah or not, you don't remember. In Mesupak, if it's Afek Oraita, that would be Afek Oraita Lehumra. If it's Darabanan, it would be Afek Darabanan Nekula, and that's the basic nafkamina that we have. So how about women? Women are not chayav to learn Torah. In fact, the Gemara asks this in Masechet Brachot, Avchav in Masechet Sotah mainly in Tavchav Aleph. Gemara says, Nashim b'mai zachyan. What schut do Nashim have for Tchiyat HaMetim? Because the Gemara says in Masechet Ketuvot, those who are doing Ketuvot, you're going to get there soon, or if you're not there yet, of the Kufyud Aleph 111, the Gemara there says, Amei Haaretz, the people who are ignorant, they don't learn Torah, lo chayan, they don't get up in Tchiyat HaMetim. Which seems to suggest that the zchut of Tchiyat HaMetim is separate than the zchut of other mitzvot. Tal Torah mechayehu. Only the zchut of Torah really helps for Tchiyat HaMetim. Therefore, it's not that Nashim b'mai zachyan means what zchut do they have. Of course, they have tremendous zchuyot. They are mechuyavot with most of the mitzvot of the Torah. It's not what the Gemara is saying. It says, what zchut they have for Tchiyat HaMetim? They're pturot, they are absolved from the mitzvah of Talmud Torah. They're not chayavot, they're not mechuyavot, they're not obligated to learn Torah. So what zchut they have? The Gemara says in the zchut that they encourage their husbands to go learn, they wait for their husband to come back at night from night seder, and they do carpool. They take their kids to school, to yeshiva, right? In that zchut, they have a chelik of the Torah of the husbands. Therefore, that's their zchut. But they don't have the mitzvah of Talmud Torah. So do they say Birkat Torah? Do they not say Birkat Torah? And this becomes a bigger question for the Sfaradim who follow the Rambam than it comes for Ashkenazim who follow the Tosafot. A regular mitzvah aseh shazman grama, a regular mitzvah aseh, even though the Nashim are pturot from mitzvah aseh shazman grama, the Tosafot holds that they could bring the chiyuv upon themselves and hence say bracha for lulav and etrog. A woman is patur from sukkah, is patur from lulav and etrog. But it's a beautiful thing for them to shake lulav. You come home, you want to bring your lulav and etrog and give it to your wife and to your daughters who are the age of chinuch, or they are certainly the ones who are bat mitzvah. Chinuch is a little more complicated because if you gift it to them, then you can't take it back from the katan, whether boys or girls. So therefore, that becomes a little bit more complicated. You have to know the halachot, but you give it to your wife to shake lulav. Does she say bracha? Well, depends. Ashkenazim, according to Rema, yes. According to Maran, no. Some of the Sfaradim have had the minhag, like the Rema. That's a separate question, whether we say it's minhag ta'ud or not. Rabbi Yosef once was much younger. Many Talmidei Chachamim and Gedolim go to Kotel, go to area of Har Bayit for the Chol HaMoed of Sukkot, because there are those who say during the Chol HaMoed is a mitzvah, the Oraita over there, even though that outside that area is not a mitzvah, biblically speaking. So Aradia was there, and this Iraqi woman comes, says, Harav, can I borrow your lulav and etrog? So Aradia, without batting an eyelash, says, Tvarchi or lo tvarchi? And she says, "Bevadai avarech." Of course, I'm going to say bracha. I said, I'm not giving it to you. Right? It's a reminiscent of the Nodab Yehuda. Nodab Yehuda, the Haskell Landa Alav Shalom, he was very against saying the Shem Yichud, right? Very against saying the Shem Yichud. That's a different story for a different time, different shiur. Ariya Kadosh, of course, writes that every mitzvah you do, you should say the Shem Yichud to verbalize the koach of the kedusha. He was very against it. I don't know if he was. Well, I could have speculations, but in the shul back then, it wasn't like now. That's just a matter of how many hundreds of dollars you want to spend and what the beautiful etrog and lulav you want to get. They didn't even have one. Every shul had one set, maybe two sets. Maybe the rabbi had one, and then the shul had one. In the Beth Knesset of Nodab Yehuda, there was only his set, and people would line up. I still remember in Iran, in Tehran, where I was in the main shul, there was one set, and people would stand in line. Right? You don't appreciate this because you grew up with it. The first year I came here, we came between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, so Sukkot was right after. I come to a shul, I see 100 people are waiting. Everyone has a set. It looked so bizarre. It was amazing. Like I was almost about to faint. I said, "Wow, it's amazing!" Everyone has their own lulav and etrog, right? So Rabbi Cheskel Landa, the Yehuda would stand there, and everyone that was in line, says, "Are you going to say L'Shem Yichud?" If they wanted to say L'Shem Yichud, he wouldn't give them the lulav and etrog. So I don't know this with bracha. By Nashim Pturot, so do they say it or not? Maran says over here, Nashim would say Birkat Torah. Now, the Chafetz Chaim, Alav Shalom, in Berurah Halacha here explains, if you take a look at your Berurah Halacha, Nashim Mevarachot, Hatam Deha Chayavot Lilmod Hadinim Shelahem. They are obligated to learn the halachot that pertains to them. They have to learn Hilchot Shabbat, Hilchot Nidat, Tarta Mishpacha, Kashrut. Many areas of halacha actually depends on the woman. Most people, unless you're a helicopter husband, there's a new term, right? They rely for Hilchot Tarta Mishpacha on their wife. Kashrut on their wife. Actually, there's a beautiful tshuva from Sefer Shelot Tshuvot Melamed Lehoil. David Hoffman from Germany, and somebody asked him about the Tolaim, and the entire tshuva is quoting his wife. The wife said, "This ones have small ones, this one has big one, this one you could get rid of that one." Yeah. They were somech on their wives. Ben Ish Chai, when he wants to give musar for Pesach, because people have romaine lettuce, when he wants to say, if you're not careful, you go to Gehinam, he's talking to the wives. So women have to be careful. If you're not careful to wash them well, you're gonna be over on more lavin than the amount of hair in your head, right? Well, the woman used to do it. Many areas of halacha, it has to be education for women. I'm not sure if we have it or not. If not, we should institute such a thing that women have to learn their own halachot. They're mechuyavot to learn the halachot that pertain to them. Therefore, they say bracha. Ve'od, aside from that, chayevet lomar parashat korbanot kemosh chayevet b'tfilah. Just like she has to do tfilah, she has to do parashat korbanot, which is basically like Talmud Torah, and therefore they have to say it as well. Now, according to that, says the Mishna Berurah, yechola lehotzi bebirkat Torah et haish. Her chiyuv is equal to the husband, and if he has safek, if he has said or not, she could say it for him as well. But the Gra, the Vilna Gaon beveuro cholek al zeata. Vilna Gaon disagrees with this reason, and therefore, according to him, she cannot be motzi the husband. The reason that he says you are mevarech, if you are a woman, after ptiri mea Torah, even though that they are pturot from Talmud Torah, mikol makom yecholot levarech velomar vesivanu. With all that said, they could still say vesivanu, just like they say vesivanu for other mitzvot aseh shazman grama. It's not less than any other mitzvot aseh shazman grama. The kaimalan yecholot levarech alehen uchteleel besiman yudzayin. Right? So now it became complicated, because if you say that's the reason, according to Vilna Gaon, Would the Sfaradim be able to say the bracha? Those who follow the Rambam?
Why is it Mangram?
That's a good question. Why is Talmud Torah a mitzvah that says Shaz Mangramai? He's not saying it is. He's saying it's not less than that. So if by Hazman Gramai you could say, you certainly should be able to say it here, right? Actually, the Yalkut Yosef discusses this in my edition is an old edition, but in the footnotes he actually brings from his father, and he says that Chacham Obadia held that women are pturot from Birkat Torah, but they can do it if they want to. So it's not a chiyuv. And therefore, just like Minhag Gaon would say, they can't be motzi de anashim yedei chova, but they could say it for themselves. And Rabbi Shaul's students also in Chelek Bet of Oretz Zion, when you doubt what it is, they also bring the same thing, that they can say the bracha if they want to, but they're not mechuyavot, they're not obligated to say the bracha. Okay, now, you could really give a shiur on iyun, details of Mishas Berurah over here, but that's for a different time. We have to cover ground during the Chag. We've been really behind from the worldwide pace, so we're going to suffice with that for now, and we're just going to go on. Says the Shulchan Aruch, starting Siman Memchet. Omrim Parashat HaTamid uPsukei Korban Shabbat. Omrim Etzel Parashat HaTamid. That's the title. So says the Shulchan Aruch, starts with the Ramah. Omrim Parashat HaTamid. ויש אומרים סדר המערכת וריבון העולמים אתה ציוויתנו, ואם אי אפשר לאומרו, if you can't say it, says the Ramah, then לחזור ולברך, over here, if you cannot say it publicly in Tzibur with the minyan, yachol leomro beveto. Then you could say it privately at your home. Velachzor parashat hatamid levad im hatzibur. And then you go back to say parashat hatamid with the tzibur. So what is it? The Ramah adds here that you say parashat hatamid, and there are those who add also parashat ha'ma'arechet. And if you can't say it because you don't have enough time to say Parashat HaTamid, this is in Korbanot that we say before Shacharit, you could say it at home or on the way to Shul. You could say Korbanot many times. When you come to Shul already, it's going to be the start from Hodu, and then you have to do your own thing of saying Parashat HaTamid, Parashat HaAkedah, certain things, the minimum. Again, Chacham Obadia and Rabbi Shaul, they both write the minimum that a person should say is you start from Parashat HaTamid, you say Vaydaber, you say Vayomer, right? Parashat HaKtoret and Parashat HaTamid, and then if you could say the Braita of Tan Rabbanan also, that would be great. If not, just say the Psukim of Parashat HaTamid and Parashat HaKorbanot, and then skip to Shema that you say prior to Hodu, the first pasuk, right? And say Arab Koach if you can say it, and so on. There's a certain level of minimum that you say, and then you say Hodu until Tareu, and then you go to Baruch Shamar. There's a certain minimum that has to be said before Psuket Zimra start, that it's better to skip some of Psuket Zimra and not skip those things. Because again, it's the structure of Tefillah. According to Ben Ishchai, actually Chabad does not agree with this, but according to Ben Ishchai comes a very strange thing, that the Shema that you say in the morning before the Tefillah is more important than a Kriyat Shema at night, which is a very interesting thing. Chabad says, what are you talking about? That's the Oraita. This is not even the Rabbanan, but in the build up of the worlds of Olamot that we go up, we spoke about this in the Gemara this morning. It is important to keep a certain level, and in the upcoming Simanim, for instance, the Siman Nun Bet that we're going to have soon, Kakaf HaChaim there writes, you should not skip and then come back to the parts that you do before, because you're ma'apech seder ha'olamot. You should never skip, basically, right? Now, Haravadia disagrees with that in many aspects. Say better to daven with the tzibur, proper tefillah with tzibur, and skip the maximum that you could skip, but certain minimum has to be kept. And on that, the Rama writes that you could say it earlier on at home as you come to shul, finish up until the hodu, wherever the tzibur starts from, and that should do it as well. So says the Rama, you do not need feeling for this. Well, it would be beautiful, but you don't need it. And if you do it with the tzibur, afterwards you catch on, then you could say it in second time, the medaktakin is the whole sugya by itself. Maybe at some point, Bezrat Hashem will have a talk about this. The people who are medaktek, they're accustomed to move their body when they read the Torah, dugmat Torah shenitana beretet, because the Torah was given with trembling. So therefore, they tremble their body, they move, they shake, they shuckle, right? When they learn the Torah. And so is when you daven, says the Rama, you should shuckle al Shem to do the pasuk that says, Kalas motai tomarna Hashem mikamocha, that my bones scream out to you, Hashem, who is like you. So therefore, you have to shuckle, right? Now, this is a very big machloket. For instance, Marar Chida writes, you should not move at all during the tefillah. You want to shuckle during Torah, kol hakavod. But during tefillah, you're omed bifnei hamelech. You're standing in front of a king, right? Imagine someone goes in front of the president of the United States and says, good morning to the president, right? They're going to throw him out there. Like, it's not Mekavos. It says, Chazon Ish, they say, Chazon Ish, when he davened Shemona Esrei, if you would put a full cup of water on his head, the entire duration of Shemona Esrei, not a drop of it would fall out. It's like a stick, like a soldier, not move, and even a millimeter, right? They say this about Rabbi Moshe Feinstein's father, I think, also. The tremendous good, I think Rabbi Moshe Feinstein, how he became Zochev, I think it was his father or grandfather. I think it was the father. That he was employed by someone working, and when he would daven, he would stand there, not move. You would talk, you would yell, he would not hear. And one time, someone was visiting this employer, and he was standing there davening. So, what is this guy? The worker is a batlan. I said, no, you understand. This guy, if you yell, if you would fire a bullet next to his head, he would not hear you. He would not flinch. I said, no way, impossible.